I accidentally caused a war between my family and my brother's wife's family with one innocent text message, so my brother's wedding happened 2 days ago. And it turned into a complete chaos, which I know, even though I don't, were there. You might wonder why I didn't attend the wedding if it's my brother's. Well, it's because of his wife's family. He did send me an invitation to the wedding because he wanted me there, but his fiancée told him I couldn't attend because I had a boyfriend. You might be confused, but I'm a man, a bisexual man to be exact, and I have a boyfriend who I wanted to bring to the wedding. She said even though she doesn't have a problem with that and he doesn't have a problem with that, her extremely religious parents who already forced her to do the wedding in a church would most likely banish us from the wedding and cause trouble between our families. After she told him that my brother told me I couldn't attend and told me why, you might think I was angry. The truth is I was relieved. I hate going to big events with lots of people because of my social anxiety, and I already was used to not being able to attend certain events because of my sexuality. So it was nothing I haven't heard before. So at the day of the wedding, I stayed at home with my boyfriend. It's worth mentioning my parents apparently didn't know I wasn't attending the wedding. I was chillin' at home, cuddling with my boyfriend when I suddenly got a text message from my parents asking me where I was because they couldn't find me at the wedding party. I told them I wasn't attending the wedding and if my brother hasn't told them anything. They said no and asked me what happened. I didn't saw any reason to lie, so I sent them a text message telling them exactly why. Now I have to admit I don't exactly know what happened after I sent them this message because they read it but didn't reply. And why do they care in the first place? They didn't notice I wasn't there before until the wedding was already over. They only noticed when the wedding party started. However, apparently my parents talked to my brother about it, and all of a sudden my absence was the main topic of the wedding party. From what I heard, 2 fronts formed. On the one hand, my parents and the rest of my family against the family of my brother's wife, and apparently he as a husband now felt compelled to take her side and tried to argue in her favor. It's crazy to think that I was just sitting at home living my best life with my boyfriend while all of that shit went down on his wedding. The wedding party was ruined, and my brother appeared on my door angrily screaming at me why I felt the need to ruin his wedding. I was confused and asked him what happened, and he told me everything. I told him it wasn't my intention. I just told our parents what happened because they didn't know and wanted to know where I was, and I thought he told them beforehand. He screamed at me that I ruined his wedding. I told him it's not my fault he wasn't honest with them. I just respected their wish to not attend the wedding. I couldn't know it would go down like this because, like I said, I couldn't attend several events before because of my sexuality, and my parents never said anything about it, so I thought it would be the same thing here. But I gotta admit, it's kinda sweet that my parents and the rest of my family stood up for me. They haven't done it before. That's a more than welcome change. But I still feel kinda bad because apparently I really ruined the wedding party. Update 1, June 2, 2023, 2 days later. Didn't thought I'd give an update, but many interesting things happened. So after my brothers visit his wife and him went to honeymoon, and the way the wedding party went might have been even worse than I imagined. What happens now is incredible. When I said in the main post that 2 fronts had formed, I only meant that metaphorically, of course, but it's no longer that. While nothing much interesting happened in the first 2 days afterwards, the terror started as soon as my brother and his wife went on their honeymoon. My mom and my dad visited me and told me how the wedding party escalated, and they were so close to physical violence. I thought it was funny at first, but this truly bothers me. I also want to point that you did a great job at convincing me it's not my fault, but hearing my parents' side still gave me a bad feeling in my stomach. However, like I said, the terror started shortly after they went to their honeymoon. And when I say terror, I mean that my SIL's family found both my Facebook and Instagram account and started spamming me with hateful messages. I received insults and hateful messages from various different accounts who all had one thing in common. They all had somewhat of a Christian theme, and all of them had the same last name. So it wasn't hard to find out whose accounts it was, mainly because I don't know my SIL's family at all. I only know her, and I know her parents were homophobic Christians. But whatever. They not only started attacking me, they also found the account of my boyfriend over my account because we're linked as a couple and started to send him the same messages. The messages contained on one side typical bigot stuff like, "You're burning in hell for your sins." One even called me and my boyfriend 2 devils in disguise. The other side were just blatant insults. You get the idea. I called my parents and told them what they are doing. Then I sent a text message to my brother with screenshots of the messages his wife's family sent me to, which he replied that I shouldn't disturb him with that during his honeymoon, as I already destroyed his wedding party. I couldn't believe it. He was just like them. He did send me an apology after my mom told me she called him, but none of this is the main reason I'm giving you this update this early, because I got a call this morning from an unknown number. I hesitated because I thought it was one of them. And I was right, but it was none of the people who insulted me. I heard a woman's voice who introduced herself as the half-sister of my brother's wife. She said it didn't went unnoticed what her family was doing, and she wanted to apologize for them. I told her, I'm not going to tell anyone in her family about this and that. I don't blame her for her family's actions. She thanked me and hung up. I don't know why, but I have this feeling. She only did this to protect her family from being reported. My mother wrote to me earlier that she wants to report the insults and the harassment of these people, and that she demands for my brother to divorce his wife, or she will disinherit him from her will because that's not how she raised him. A little radical in my opinion, but I understand where she's coming from. This entire thing escalated so much, it's unbelievable. Thank y'all for your support on my first post. Why am I so casual about this entire situation? June 3rd, 2023, one day later. Some of you are wondering why I seem so calm and casual in the update when I'm discriminated against. The truth is that I am in a relationship with my boyfriend for 3 years now, and the things that happen now are nothing compared to what I've been through. I receive hateful messages almost daily, not only from their accounts, but in general. And I learned to ignore that. There have been way worse situations, such as when my boyfriend went to visit his family and I couldn't go with him. We kissed each other goodbye on the train station, and when the train left and no one saw it, a group of guys attacked me. I was sent to hospital because of severe injuries, just to give you an idea what I had to deal with in the past. And don't get me wrong, we will report my SEL's family, but what they are doing is nothing I haven't seen 1,000 times before. Update number 2, June 12th, 2023, 9 days later. It's been a few days. First of all, me and my boyfriend are fine. Luckily for us, they didn't go any further than their text messages. My mom filed a report against them. I don't know the current situation about that as I haven't filed the report myself. The reason I update you is a different one. First of all, one person in my SEL's family is actually going to testify in my favor and against her family. It really takes courage to do so. It's the same person that called me in the last update. Somehow they found out that she is into women. No reason to hide it anymore. However, she said she's fine and is going to stay at a friend's house. I have so much respect for what she does. Imagine the strength you need to testify against your own family. I now feel bad for assuming she only called me to save her family from being reported. More importantly, what is the current situation with my brother? Well, my mom talked to him and told him to leave his wife or she will disinherit him from her will. He decided to stay with his wife and my mom made her threat come true. He's no longer in her will. My father did the same. When I visited them, I also told them that I wish that this entire situation went different. They assured me it's not my fault, but I feel like if it wasn't for me, then my family wouldn't be ripped apart like this. Haven't talked to my brother since then. My boyfriend feels familiar. He also told me he kind of feels responsible for all this chaos. I assured him it's not his fault, but honestly, I wasn't even sure if I could say this in my position. On the other hand, it was my SEL's family's bigotry that ruined everything, and everything would have been fine if I could have just attended. But now it's time for me to grow distant to this situation. We see what the report will do. I followed your advice to document everything. The insulting and harassing messages continued until 2 days ago, so I have much to say about them. Unfortunately, homophobia is still very much normalized in our society. I already said it in a post in my profile, but the reason I'm so calm and casual about the situation is the simple fact that I'm used to situations like this. They don't get to me anymore. If I let any insult get to me, I wouldn't make it for a long time. It's a coping mechanism. I've been into situations where I was sent into hospital because I kissed my boyfriend in public. So insults and harassment like theirs is nothing I haven't seen before. I want to say thank you for all your support on my first 2 posts. Update number 3, August 22, 2023, 2 months later. I think some of y'all are waiting for an update, so here I am. Keep in mind that this update will probably be the last one. So last time I told you, my mother was pressing charges against them, and to my surprise, we won. They weren't going to jail or anything, but they had to pay for their actions. Literally. There was one incident where my SEL dad was actually trying to find out where I lived and asked my brother who told him. Only God knows what he would have done to us if we still had lived there. But in the time span of the last 2 months, me and my boyfriend moved to a different place, which my brother didn't know anything of. Also, their social media accounts were deleted. However, I don't know if this was part of their punishment or if they did it themselves. My mom has also carried out the threat towards my brother and disinherited him from her will. After he came back from his honeymoon, he begged her to put him in again. She said only if he apologized to me. She invited me and my boyfriend over, and my brother sat in the living room with this mad look on his face. She made him apologize, but I didn't accept this apology because I could tell it wasn't sincere. He did it because he had to, and not because he was actually sorry. I told my brother that I am disappointed in him for who he became. Before that, we had this huge bond, usually never judged each other for stuff like this. And all of a sudden, he has such a problem with me having a boyfriend. I just don't get it. I told him that I miss the old him. He didn't respond to anything. He just sat there quietly staring at the bottom. After I finished, he just got up and left. This was the last time I spoke with him, and it's already been a few weeks since this happened. My parents paid much more attention to the discrimination I faced since this incident. They wanted to learn more about the problems I face as a queer person. I really love them. My dad even got a bisexual pride flag for me and asked if he could hang it in our bedroom. I love that I have such great parents. I just wished for my brother to become the person he once was. B2W. Since the case with my SEL's family is over, I didn't heard anything about their lesbian daughter. She supported us during the process, but we lost contact afterwards, and I just hope she's fine. Update 4, February 16th, 2024, 6 months later. The final update of my story happened 6 months ago, and I figured some of you might be interested in how things currently doing. So I'm back at least for this post right now. There have been some things that happened. First of all, I want to give you an update about the sister of my brother's wife. Around 2 months after my update, she texted us and asked if she could come over. We talked a while, and I was relieved to find out that she is fine. She said that she moved in with her girlfriend when the case was over, simply because her parents and the rest of her family had disowned her and threatened her with physical violence if she dares to return. However, the relationship with her girlfriend ended after a while, and she asked us if she could stay for a few days until she found something. She stayed with Yus for 2 weeks. During that time, my parents had visited Yus and offered her to stay with them because they had a big house with some free space. She stays there currently because she wanted to study, and my parents had no problem with letting her stay a little longer. Me and my boyfriend also support her financially a little bit. We included her into several different celebrations such as Christmas and New Year's Eve, and I feel like she is like the sister I never had. What's probably more interesting for you is how my brother is currently doing. The truth is, I don't know exactly. We haven't talked since the apology, however. He actually tried to attend our Christmas celebration party. But the moment he appeared, my dad kicked him out and said that, and I quote, "This homophobic rubbish is no longer allowed in my house. I love him." OBTW, of course, both went through with disowning him. My boyfriend and I are still together, and I feel like he might be the one I want to marry. This entire situation made our bond so much stronger. I plan on proposing to him, but there are so many ideas floating around in my head for the proposal that I can't really decide which one. Also, the social media accounts of my Seals family had disappeared entirely, all of them, but I assume they already made new ones under a new name. I'm just glad all of this is finally over. I don't have any compassion left for my brother. I just wish he had never developed this way. Everything that happened to him, he brought it on himself. If you guys want, I can update you when I'm engaged. Thanks for reading. Wish you all the best. I proposed and he said yes. April 14th, 2024, 2 months later. Do you remember when I told you in my last update 2 months ago that I will propose to my boyfriend? Well, I did it today. I brought up so many ideas that it was really hard to decide, so I gave him some subtle hints. Not too obvious, just enough to see how he reacts and then decide based on his reaction. In the end, I made a photo album of us featuring the most important events in our relationship. Each of them had a thought of mine and a caption below them. Some of them were meaningful, but some of them were just random. Like one photo of us eating at his favorite restaurant at his birthday, and the caption just says something like, "Damn, that pizza was good." That made him laugh. We walked to his favorite spot in town, which is a wonderful lake. That is where I gave him the album and told him it's a present and to look through it. He was focused and didn't notice what I was doing behind him, as I just told him I was getting something I forgot. I positioned myself behind him, and that is when the last page came into play. That page had a photo of me holding the ring in the same way I positioned myself behind him looking straight at the camera, and the caption says, "Hopefully he says yes." He turned around in disbelief and started crying almost immediately when he saw me. I couldn't even finish the question, and he already said yes. It was exactly how I hoped it would go. I always dreamt of making my proposal like out of a romance novel, and I was successful. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna marry him. I already told my entire family, except for my brother, of course. They were so happy about it, especially my mom and new sister shrieked out of excitement on the phone. I assume my brother knows anyway, considering I shared it on Facebook. You guys probably aren't wrong that he might plan something, but if he does, it won't stop us. Do you guys want me to update you when I'm married to tell you about the wedding and everything? My boyfriend and I will have a rather unconventional wedding, April 21st, 2024, 1 week later. I just have to tell you guys this. We're currently planning our wedding, and instead of a regular wedding dance, we decided we want to have a lightsaber battle against each other. Of course, it's not just a random lightsaber battle. It's like a choreography that we have to learn. We're both huge Star Wars fans. My dad, who also loves Star Wars, said he wants to join and he had an idea how to do that. He said to add like a story to it that he wants to have a lightsaber battle against my fiancé, where my fiancé has to fight for the right to marry me, where my dad would eventually lose, and then I would step in to test my fiancé's strength myself, and there would be a lightsaber battle between us, and then I'd acknowledge his force as worthy enough. I know some might think it's childish, but I'm so excited for it. Our wedding will be a day for people to remember.